Bonjour à tous, je m'appelle Émilie Vidot.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Émilie Vidot, and I'm a tech, business, economy journalist for about 10 years. And I'm very happy to welcome you here to this highly symbolic place, UNESCO, for this 11th Forum on Innovation by NetExplo. Very happy to be introducing this today with my great friend, Kyla.
My name is Kayla. I have been working with innovative tech startups for the last 10 years. So I was so thrilled when the NetExplo team invited me here to co-present this 11th annual Innovation Forum. En plus, je parle couramment.
And what's more, I speak Franglish with...
Actually, one of the great things about being here at UNESCO, symbol of diversity, is that there doesn't have to be just one official language. Our specialists are coming from around the world to share with you their groundbreaking innovations. And you each have headsets so that you can benefit from the translation services. And how fun to be up here with my fabulous co-host, Émilie Vidot.
Alors vous l'avez compris, aujourd'hui,
You have understood that we are here today to talk about the very best of digital innovation in the world. And we're going to do this together. Together we're going to discover, analyze, understand the impact of these new technologies, what impact they're going to have on our society, on our economy, on our lives.
Interface zero, decision zero, and lastly, human zero infinite. Now, if you don't know what that means yet, don't panic. We have the head researcher of NetExplo, Sandrine Catla, who is here to break down each one of our episodes and tell us how that translates into our daily lives.
et bien sûr, Kayla, il y aura des surprises, des invités.
And of course, there will be surprises. There'll be prestigious guests from the world of art, the world of science, the world of digital industry, to present to us the major trends that are already drawing up the world of today and naturally the world of tomorrow. And one last thing before we get on board and start our trip to the planet of innovation, you know, of course, that NetExplo is a big family, a family that's all about debating, discussing, interacting. We want to interact with you. And by the end of the day, we will ask you to interact. We will ask you to vote for the major award of innovation that will be presented by one of the 10 innovators you will be meeting on this day. This innovator may be about to present to you the next big thing that's going to change your life, the life of the people around you, possibly the life of a big proportion of the population of the world. But enough said, and let us get started. It is time to get on with the 11th Forum of NetExplo. So, obviously, Kyla and I want to call to the stage Getachew Ngira, Deputy Director of UNESCO, who is doing us the honor of hosting us here today. Getachew Ngira, please welcome him.
Madame la sénatrice.
Madam Senator Catherine Morin-Desailly, Chair of the Commission for Culture, Education and Communication at the French Senate, Mr. Thierry App, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to welcome you here for this 11th Forum of NetExplo. Welcome to you all. Welcome to the Palace of UNESCO. You have probably been here before. You have probably attended this forum of world innovation, which is a very highly awaited event every year. Once again, it is my honor to host and introduce this event, which is very much part of the mission of UNESCO. Reconciliation with the digital evolution which we are living through and the humanistic values of UNESCO are very much to us an illustration of the challenges and the opportunities that we face on a daily basis. Give technology, science and new technologies a human face is our ambition at UNESCO. And that is the purpose of Netexplo, a project for the future, a decisive project for humanity.
Technological advancements have little value if they stay only in scientific labs or Silicon Valley startups. In putting our attention on technological developments, we must not forget that technology serves as a means to improving the human condition. Technology has much to offer to human beings. However, it is not the technology in itself, but the way in which we use technology that makes a difference. Knowledge and information have a considerable impact on people's lives. It is by sharing knowledge and information that we can transform economies and societies. This is when digital unleashes all its richness and power, when it is shared, when it changes the lives of people, families, communities, cities, and countries. The power of digital technology permeates all sectors of our societies. Its impact can be felt in the field of information, communication, education, health, the economy, but also in art and culture. Digital technologies impact all of us every day, in our professional and in our personal lives. A power bringing in on a lot of questions that should make us think about our common future. UNESCO works to build inclusive knowledge societies based on 4 pillars: freedom of expression, universal access to information and knowledge, respect for cultural and linguistic diversity, and access to quality education for all. This mission to build inclusive knowledge societies evolves every day as our world continues to change together with the digital revolution and then the use we make out of it. As a global community, we now have the opportunity to harness the digital revolution to achieve sustainable development. But in so doing, we must ensure that everyone enjoys the means and tools to shape their own development and that no one is left behind. This is why it is important to value and consider the potential and richness of an intercultural and international digital world. At a time when technological innovation is concentrated in the hands of just a few players, it is essential to recall that innovation can and must also find a new breath in diversity. Good ideas are not limited to for-profit startups and large multinationals. As UNESCO has been through its Use Mobile program, technological advancements also come from researchers, students, humanitarian associations, citizens, women and men, and girls and boys around the world. Digital technology concerns us all, everywhere in the world, and together we must face the challenges it raises. The digital world is a great resource for spreading the universal values that UNESCO promotes, such as education for all, gender equality, learning to live together, freedom of expression, and open access to quality information. In 2015, UNESCO's General Conference adopted the concept of Internet universality, highlighting the Internet's potential for sustainable development. Internet universality embraces 4 principles which have been fundamental to the development of the Internet. That is, that it must be based on human rights, that it is open, that it should be accessible to all, and it is nurtured by multi-stakeholder participation. It is based on sound ethical principles and respect for human rights. Technology can be one of the foundational bricks on which to build inclusive and sustainable societies. New challenges related to digital technology continue to grow, ranging from risks to data privacy to the spread of hate speech and content aimed to incite violent extremism. In the face of such challenges, UNESCO works to promote media and information literacy, to equip people with the knowledge and skills to use technology critically and as a tool for exchange, facilitating peace and mutual understanding. Digital technology is both a source of fear and hope, ladies and gentlemen. It is ultimately up to us to define the vision, to draw the lines of our common future. This forum will be a great opportunity for us to think together about how to best optimize the promise of digital technologies and to address the challenges. Tomorrow and Thursday will be devoted to showcasing the new global observatory created by our partner Netexplo, the Netexplo Talent Observatory. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, for the past 8 years, Netexplo and the laboratories of Netexplo, as well as UNESCO, have been exploring these technologies with a common vision, which is that of technology with a human face. And today, more than ever, this is decisively important because the new technologies are speeding up. The digital world, digital industries in our world require that people are trained, that the companies, that the organizations are thinking, are getting ready to seize the opportunities of the digital world, what these can mean for human beings throughout the world. And that is the reason why UNESCO is happy to welcome this edition of Netexplo Talent Forum. This event brings together digital experts from the whole world to identify beyond technology who and where are the new talents and sources of inspiration for the digital world during this digital transformation. How can we build our future? What shall be our markers? What shall be our prospects? What shall be our models? What new collaborations do we need? What cultural developments do we need? What new trainings, what new approaches to education do we need to be in a position to use the new opportunities embodied by the digital world? This forum shall be, I am convinced, a time of discussion, a time of sharing. In this work of dealing with the great challenges of the digital world, we understand that we can only work together. We need the universal pillars of science, education, culture, communication, and information. It is in this spirit, excellencies, of innovation and debate that I wish you the happiest and most fruitful forum. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Getachew. Et maintenant, j'ai le plaisir.
Thank you. And now I have the pleasure to welcome another partner, a long-standing partner, Catherine Morin-Desailly.
For culture, education and communication. Thank you.
Monsieur le directeur,
Mr. Deputy Director General of UNESCO, Excellencies, it's a great pleasure for me to participate once again side by side with the Deputy Director General in this 11th Netexplo Innovation Forum. I must say that when I entered UNESCO, I was very impressed by the long queue at the entrance of people waiting to come in. There were about 1,500 people here in this splendid auditorium, 1,500 people for whom digital technology is always a source of curiosity, raises new issues, and also a source of more inspiration. You know that it began in 2007, just like me, and we realized in 2007 that Netexplo was really important because it was able to identify the emerging digital technologies. It was able to also analyze them in a very clear manner. So I would really like to thank the team that has organized Netexplo, beginning with the founders, Martine Bidiger and Thierry App. I would like you to give them a warm round of applause. Dear Thierry and dear Martine, thank you very much to both of you. Thanks to you, we have discovered hundreds of innovations over the years, excellent innovations, a source of inspiration, very exciting because they offer a new potential for our day-to-day life. And it's a great source of inspiration because there is a good balance of anticipation and reflection, and also because it is always linked to the possible use. Because technology for the sake of technology doesn't mean anything. I think what is important is to see how digital technology can truly improve the life of a person, a neighborhood, a city, a territory. And that is the reason why the Senate that I represent here today has always been a partner right from the outset of this extraordinary adventure, and has always followed very keenly the work that is done by Netexplo and its annual forum, whose purpose is to share what has occurred in the last 12 months. And of course, this year, of course, the focus is on artificial intelligence, use of big data with algorithms. And this is really the most topical issue today. It is a very captivating and exciting development which raises a lot of questions. I think the Netexplo Observatory was one of the first to identify this. We talk about deep learning, machine learning, cognitive sciences, etc., etc. Every single day, virtually. There are so many articles, there is so much media coverage, there are so many conferences being organized on this subject. We have all sorts of possibilities for future scenarios, some being positive, less positive. But one thing is clear, that this is going to go far beyond everything that we have known so far. It is going to be a veritable revolution in our day-to-day life, in employment. How many new jobs will be created? How many jobs will be done away with? This is going to be a turning point for our civilization, which raises the key issue. Artificial intelligence, is it something that we should take advantage of, or should we consider it as a threat? This is something that all specialists are looking at currently, and I think that we need to find the answer to this together. In the Senate, we are monitoring developments very closely from the economic, social, educational, and also legal and ethical standpoints. Our parliamentary office on scientific choices has drafted a report on how to control and harness these new technologies based on artificial intelligence. So we also organized a discussion on the challenges of artificial intelligence in order to urge the government to address these issues. We are very keen on monitoring these issues at the Senate because we are convinced that digital technology will completely transform our lives, our businesses, and our organizations. But of course, these technologies raise structural and ethical issues, but offer extraordinary opportunities. Health is being transformed. Healthcare is being transformed thanks to artificial intelligence, such as the auditive prosthesis that can filter conversations to focus on the person whose conversation is actually of interest to the person listening. And there are so many other opportunities. These innovations in Burma that uses virtual reality as a new pedagogical tool, to offering more potential to teachers and also to learners. And these new technologies, in fact, enable managers and also all the people working in businesses tremendous potential to help develop their skills further. So artificial intelligence is the focus of 6 out of 10 innovations that you will discover today in very diverse fields. You will discover innovations coming from the world, the entire world, South Africa, Australia, Myanmar, Chile, Hong Kong, the United States, the UK, Switzerland, Zimbabwe. So you will have a wide array of innovations which will concern all fields, health, safety, education, culture, sustainable development, and of course the economy. These innovations will also raise issues in our contemporary world, and that is what makes them so fascinating. And you who are here today will listen to these specialists in all these fields. The Netexplo Forum is a formidable platform for exchange of experience and innovation. It is open to the world, and I'm sure that today's forum will provide a lot of different information. And for the first time, Sandrine Catlan, in charge of research in the Netexplo, will talk about the perspective through which Netexplo looks at these technologies and has been doing so for the last 11 years. This 11th edition is very special because it is going to last for 3 days, first of all, with 2 very complementary parts. One is the first day is the observatory's results. So we will be looking at different innovations. Last year, the observatory celebrated its 10th anniversary here, and it is always ahead of the curve. And this is something that is going to be taken even further today by Netexplo, because it will be focused on digital talent across the world with Netexplo talent. This is going to be the focus of tomorrow and day after. The focus will be on training, and believe me, we do need training, right from nursery school all the way to the corporate world. And training is extremely important, and it will be at the heart of the forum henceforth. And it is going to give us an opportunity to see how new talent can really be leveraged by businesses. So we will discover with great enthusiasm and excitement the state of the art of digital technology today. So this is what the Innovation Forum of Netexplo is all about, because it's going to focus on the digital innovations across the globe.
Bonjour à tous.
Good morning, Madam President, dear Catherine, Mr. Director General, Deputy Director General, hello everybody. As you know, that this forum is a forum for exchange, sharing experience, and also putting the spotlight on the main challenges that digital technology represents. So this is an open and very exciting forum. You know that the observatory has existed for quite some time with our different partners, HSC and UNESCO, who is here. And it is an observatory of professors from the world working in different digital technologies. And I would like to really thank them here today, because they're all here, they're all present in the room, and it's really thanks to them that we can share all this information and analyses with you. So if you don't mind, I'd like you to give these 20 professors a huge round of applause. They come from all over the world, and they are here to help us to open our minds and open all the possibilities that the digital technology offers us. Now, all these professors put their heads together yesterday and they determined the strategic orientations. And they also make their students work. Every student all over the world has gone and tried to identify these different projects. So we had 2,000 projects in all, and we made a selection and we came up with the NetExplo 100, the 100 technologies that are going to have a significant impact on our societies, on education, on economy, on the health sector as well. 10 NetExplo award winners were selected by our professors and our experts, and these NetExplo award winners are winners who are totally unknown, but whose ideas are spectacular and who will be game changers in the long term. And this is how we identify trends. These are the trendsetters, and Catherine Catala is going to share these very important aspects with you shortly. For the last 11 years, we've been very lucky to identify, to select, to reveal, if you wish, initiatives that have really played a very important role in our digital economies. And all these innovations have had an impact on our day-to-day lives. And that is the reason why every year what we're trying to do is that we're trying to select innovations that truly have an impact or will have an impact on our day-to-day lives. So these 10th award winners will give you a full range of different innovations that are going to do precisely that. And you're going to meet all of them today. 6 out of these 10 awards are focused on artificial intelligence, and the health sector, the healthcare sector is really one of the key areas of innovation. So you will have the opportunity to listen to them, to interact with them throughout the day, and they're going to explain their projects to you. The first project comes from Burma. It is a project on education. It is a project that uses smartphones. It's the recycled smartphones and virtual reality to help children to have access to education content across the world, and also to train professors. The second one was born in Brazil. It's a Tinder. I'm sure you know this app, which is used very widely in Europe and the United States. So they use Tinder to identify waste and to be able to collect this waste very quickly, and a whole professional community works around this innovation. Then there's cognitive hearing aid. You heard about this, which is an absolutely revolutionary hearing aid, which is a sort of a filter, because it will enable you not to listen to everything that's going on in your surrounding area, but only in a very selective manner. Giuseppe is also an AI-designed tool, which is something that will help us to have a meal using vegan food, vegetables based on artificial intelligence. Hand that sees. This is an intuitive bionic hand which has an excellent grasp, which is able to grasp objects in a very precise manner. Neurella Air Shepherd drones are these smart drones against poaching in Africa. Singularity Net is an open platform to democratize artificial intelligence. It is something that is led by an international team. Then there is Status, which is a mobile operating system based on the blockchain. Stentrode is an endoprosthesis to control an exoskeleton by thought. It comes from an Australian team. And Whisker is a mobile app which is a new m-commerce model, which will change the relationship between consumers and different brands. So these are the new trends. These are the new innovations. And Sandrine will talk about these trends. She calls it Interface Zero, Decision Zero, and I will give her the opportunity to present these different trends. So we're going to share all this information with you in this 11th edition, which is the fruit of 1 year of observation. But I would just, before that, like to share a few other things. As Getachew and Catherine mentioned, this is a very special year because, well, we have our Digital Innovation Day, as usual, but alongside these innovations and the Innovation Forum, you're going to be able to look at a talent observatory. This was something that was created with ESCP Europe, which is a French business school. The purpose is to be able to understand how to attract and how to identify talent, how to develop their expertise and know-how, how we can engage them to apply their skills to the full, and how we can leverage digital talent to transform our businesses. Now, this is a huge challenge. This is really what is at stake. And this is the reason why our Talent Observatory is based on 3 very important factors. So first is a global survey that we carried out with people from all over the world. These are people who are going to talk to you and share their vision with you on the state of the art is when it comes to digital technology. And then there is going to also be so there's the annual event, the Talent Forum, and then there's the Training Forum. This is the Digital Transformation Facilitator Certificate. So all this will happen tomorrow and day after tomorrow. But let's start with today first. And what is the state of global tech in the beginning of 2018?
What we are witnessing today is this phenomenal acceleration of innovation. And 2018 could also be a decisive year in the sense that it could be the year that the general public becomes aware of a certain number of things that are at stake for our society, our economy, and our civilization. Things that could be organized around 2 points. One aspect is data, privacy, and the sharing of the value of these elements. Second point, Bitcoin. Well, Sandrine will be telling about this more in detail this at the end of the morning and in the afternoon. But the second area has to do with money, Bitcoin, blockchains as well, and what they will mean to our environment. But let's first look at the first aspect. In this next minute, 522,760 photos are going to be exchanged in 1 minute over Snapchat. 456,000 tweets are going to be exchanged. 1.8 million likes are going to be exchanged, as well as 3.6 million requests on Google, 26 million WeChat messages, 103.4 million spam emails will appear. And all this is not going to slow down anytime soon, because by 2025, it is estimated that there will be, on average, in each home, 30 smart objects, which in turn will be exchanging a lot of information. In the face of these figures, we must accept that the human being is becoming an algorithm. We are producing billions of data, each and every one of us. Data which is provided for free to these people. These are the people collecting from all this. Now, what's interesting is that the value of this data was assessed in 2020 by IDC, an institute, to 203 billion euros. Now, this explains this. How well GAFAM are doing in terms of profit, in terms of capital. They are becoming states within the state. And things are going to be going even better for them in the future, because as you can see on this diagram, digital ad spending is higher now than any other type of ad, including television. What exactly does that mean? Well, it means that they are masters of data, and advertising, which is one of the main ways in which to pay for data, is going to make them even more powerful in years to come. Now, if data is the oil of the 21st century, which seems to be obvious, then the GAFA are the main agents of information in the world, and that prompts a question. Who creates this oil, this data? Who produces them? Who generates them? Well, you do, and I do. We do. And the question which is becoming ever more pressing throughout the world is this data actually our possession? Do the people who produce this data own them? And that's us. There are a number of voices telling us that we should be dealing with this. Tim Berners-Lee, Gaspar Koenig, Errol Balkan are all telling us we need to take hand of this data. Perhaps we need to sell them, because that's the only way that we can counter a trend which is going to have some huge consequences in the future on our world. You know that some regulations are already in place. In Europe, by May 25th of this year, there will be a new law on the protection of personal data, which will be putting in place some measures to protect the citizen. Nevertheless, and more fundamentally, what's really fascinating about this subject is that nobody actually exerts any intellectual property right over this data. There is a principle accepted by the European regulator, which is autodetermination, self-determination of information. What does that mean? Well, I think we've all have dealt with the situation in which you take over your telephone, your device, you start to create parameters, and then this window comes up and tells you, and asks you if you accept the conditions and terms. You start reading, you click, and you feel like you're reading Homer in the original language, and then you think, well, I need to use this phone, so I just accept, and I don't read. Well, at this point, it's over. That's what the self-determination of information is all about. How exactly does that translate? Well, it translates in the following, that we could decide to recognize that personal information belongs to the person in the sense of intellectual property. This would mean that, well, something like what Whisker is suggesting now. And that the fact that it comes from Germany, which is a very protective area for personal data, is relevant here. The subject of how to share data is an important one, and it is going to play a very essential role in how we orient our society and our economy. Economic property is important. How can we, faced with the power, the hegemony of the GAFAM, hope for any other digital powers to emerge? It's going to be increasingly difficult. And so even from the point of view of free competition, it is essential that we take this sector in hand and that we regulate it to make sure that it remains open and that it doesn't just become the happy hunting grounds of a few powerful enterprises. But there's the second thing at stake, which has to do more with politics and democracy. We want to deal with the filter bubble effect. What exactly does that mean? Well, Arkatla, who is present in this room, discussed that already a few years ago. They explained that profiling based on data puts us in a position where information about us is made available. We read it, the information that is sent to us because we are profiled as such, and therefore we get the information that people believe that we want, and therefore we have no choice in the end, because this information that we get is determined by the information that we have in the past requested, and therefore we are in a bubble. And Catherine Morin-Desailly met recently Lawrence Lessig, who is a professor at Harvard and the author of Coder's Law. He said that the major risk about collecting personal data lies in the fact that the person will no longer be perceived as a function of what they do, but as a function of what they are likely to do in the future. I don't know if you've recently seen a film about that, but Minority Report is what we are living through today. And that's the main reason why we said at Netexplo that Internet, the DNA of Internet, is about opening windows to the world. What we are experiencing today is no longer an opening to the digital world. We are simply seeing ourselves reflected. The tweet that we follow, the information that we request, the music that we stream, create a bubble in which at one time we may be stuck. And that has a very important role on various aspects of life, and particularly on the bipolar nature of political life. This means that there may be, we hope for, a true change in this trend, benefiting the citizen. Now, the second big aspect that we are looking at is Bitcoin, blockchain, and the environment. Some of these subjects have become such hypes that it becomes a little annoying, in fact. Now, let's remember that Bitcoin was actually born in 2008 thanks to the blockchain. The blockchain is something we talked about 2 years ago already, so there's no need to get back into the detail. But blockchain is not just about cryptocurrencies. It's about a lot of things that are extremely useful in this decentralized network, peer-to-peer, and that cannot be faked, and that enables chains to record and exchange data. And in fact, we gave awards to two candidates: Bitland, which made it possible to register land titles in places of Africa where it could not be done, and BitNation, which was dedicated to refugees, which is a major preoccupation of society these days, and it improved the lives of millions of people. What is clear today is that people are saying blockchain equals Bitcoin and ICO. ICO being initial coin offerings, which means money, raising money, basically, in cryptocurrencies. We will discuss this again. But what's going on with Bitcoins these days? Well, in 2008, the Bitcoin was worth $0.001. Nobody would have bet anything on that. It was a marginal phenomenon. Now, since that day, this is how much how the Bitcoin worth has developed. Now, this remains a cryptocurrency and is below zero, but the speculation in Bitcoins has experienced tremendous ups and downs. And if you've talked to any young people recently, probably some of them have betted some money on Bitcoins, and probably some of them have seen gains of about 20 times what their original stake was, but they're probably losing it all again now. But there's a lot of other cryptocurrencies developing around Bitcoin: Ripple, Ethereum, Monero, which we will refer to again in a while. Cryptocurrencies today are doing very well, and they are a great worry to public powers and to financial authorities. For one thing, it's the Wild West out there. It's just free speculation out there. There are no securities, no guarantees, no central authority, no central banks, nothing out there. There are private platforms for exchanging these bitcoins which are in no way secure. And these platforms are being purchased with huge amounts of money that are being taken out of the pockets of the people who are investing in this system. The second reason for concern is that the bitcoins, as well as a lot of cryptocurrencies, are in fact the 2.0 currency that can be used to buy absolutely anything, and that serve in particular as the currency of organized crime. A lot of ransoms nowadays, for example, are being paid for in cryptocurrency. You can buy drugs, you can buy fake documents, you can buy arms with bitcoins, with cryptocurrencies, which is really makes it the privileged tool of money laundering. What's interesting, speaking of raising funds, is that governments are actually doing something about it. Look at Japan, for example. Look at South Korea or China. It has now become forbidden to do ICOs, to raise crypto money. The Indian Minister of Finance decided last week that they would become prohibited in India. And more recently, the head of Facebook said that no more transactions would be allowed in Bitcoin. And then there's the interesting example of Venezuela, which decided that its own state cryptocurrency, the petro, which is not a petrodollar, it's actually a petro coin, would be made available. And on February 20th, 2018, there's going to be an ICO by the Venezuelan state in Bitcoins. Now, is this a new digital gold, or is it merely a speculative bubble? Well, there are companies using cryptocurrencies artistically, very intelligently. Look at Kodak, for example. It's a company that basically failed in the digital turn. They actually had a patent for digital photography, but they didn't want to use it because it would have entailed a loss for them. But they have now created a platform on blockchain for all photographers to be able to copyright their photos and have their intellectual property rights for their photographies to be recognized. And they've created a cryptocurrency called Kodak Coin, which was registered on January 8th. And look at how it's done. What does this mean? It means that
ça veut dire que tout ça, c'est de la spéculation.
Well, this is all speculation, of course, but what is the main challenge here? The main challenge is our carbon footprint, the carbon footprint of bitcoins and blockchain. Why? Because every minute, millions of computers are required to validate, duplicate, and record every single transaction. It works block by block. So this means that, according to some people, the Bitcoin's global electricity consumption is equivalent to the annual consumption of a country like Denmark. Now, this is quite amazing because 80% of the computing value of blockchain's power, 80% of blockchain's computing power comes from China, and China mainly has coal-fired power plants today. So mobilizing digital intelligence is important for the sake of our planet. And in the years to come, thanks to UNESCO, we're going to reveal initiatives which will take all this on board, and will try to bring the carbon footprint of blockchain and bitcoins down. So this is the question to now. What are we talking about here? Is it going to be a technological disruption heralding a new financial order? Well, our feeling is that we have to look in the past, what happened in the past. You look at what happened in the year 2000 with this explosion of startups. Google and Amazon became today's champions, and it didn't prevent Facebook and Airbnb to develop its business either. The question that will be the right question to ask is, where are we heading now, and how can we assist and support these trends, and how can we seize the best opportunities that they offer without imperiling our civilization and humankind? These are the key questions. It's all about governance. What kind of governance do we need? What opportunities are we looking at for institutions, for governance, etc.? And in UNESCO, for instance, the main challenge is how can citizens make decisions without understanding the social impact of digital technology? So our mission with UNESCO is precisely to explore digital innovation through educate, train, share, and promote dialogue on these issues. And this is what you're going to be able to do with everyone today and also tomorrow. And you will see that it is the future that we're talking about. This is what we will be doing in the future. We will all be together to create the world of the future. Thank you very much for your attention.
Merci beaucoup Thierry. Une fois de plus, vous nous démontrez avec Netexplo que le digital est un formidable terrain d'expérimentation.
Thank you very much, Thierry. So this is really work in progress right now, as you have just demonstrated. So now we're going to start straight off with the first session of this session dedicated to innovation with Sandrine Katla. She is VP Research at Netexplo. But first, let us go to Planet Interface 0.